Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the March 15th hybrid meeting of Chatham's Historic Business District Commission. As soon as our clerk, Simon Stribert, reads the governor's directive concerning these meetings, we'll do a roll call of the members who are present, and we'll be hearing the applications this afternoon to establish that we do have a quorum, and I can assure you that we do. So, Sam, would you like to read that, please?
This meeting, please note, this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman. Pursuant to Governor Baker's July 16, 2022 signing of an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, including the extension of his March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A, paragraph 20, until March 31, 2023. This meeting of the Historic Business District Commission is being conducted remotely and shall afford adequate alternative means of public access via Microsoft Teams by calling the phone number 1-508-945-4410. Conference ID 379-190-328 #. Or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. Despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. In accordance with town policy, the public can speak to any issue or hearing or business item on the agenda during the meeting when recognized by the chair.
Thank you, Sam. Now for the roll call. Darcy, Vice Chair Darcy Sequin.
Darcy Sequin is here.
Our clerk, Sam Stribert.
Sam Stribert is here.
Okay. Regular member Bob Burns.
Bob Burns is here.
Regular member Doug Grattan.
Doug Grattan is here.
And our first alternate, Steve DeBoer.
Steve DeBoer is here.
Okay, also with us this evening is Chantel Kilkenny, Community Development Administrative Assistant, and Sarah Clark, the Central Permitting Coordinator. First order of business will be the minutes, and those are of March 1st. As soon as those are approved, we'll move right on to the applications. And when our clerk, Sam Stribert, reads your application, we ask that you move to one of the podiums on our right. Let us know who you are and give us a brief synopsis of your proposed project. All righty. Any comments on the minutes of March 1st?
I have one comment.
Darcy?
On the first page, Darcy Sequin abstain, not present. I think I was here.
You're on a roll. All right, is that it?
Well, then the vote has to be changed also then, I think, right? Because the vote is 3-1-0.
Yeah,
All righty then.
yeah.
No, I was not present, so I don't know if I can make a motion or not.
I was not present.
I have no comments.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 1st, 2023 with the one change.
Do I have a second?
Steve DeBoer will second that motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Darcy?
Darcy Sequin approves.
Sam Stribert?
Sam Stribert approves.
Bob Burns?
I was not here.
Okay.
I approve.
Steve DeBoer?
I approve.
Okay, and Dan Silver approves as well. Okay, the minutes are approved. All right, Sam, our first application.
Is a pre-application conference. Town of Chatham, care of Kathleen Donovan. Discussion on fence enclosure located at 549 Main Street.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Again, this is Katie Donovan. I am the Director of Community Development for the town, and with me tonight is Ronit Goldstein from Eversource. We are here tonight to have a pre-application conference on a fence that was installed around a transformer on the town hall property. And it was realized after the fence was installed that we did not seek approval from this board. And so we're here tonight to have a conversation. We've heard some concerns about the fence surrounding the transformer, and we wanted to get a feel for whether or not this was something that the board would be in favor of before we moved forward with a formal application. If it's not, we would go back and have further conversations about whether or not we would remove the fence or whether or not we would, try to propose anything in its place. Although I think that if we were to remove it, I think it would probably remain, with just the transformer. So a little bit of background, the transformer had been installed and there had been a request for some screening. And actually, I'll ask Ronit to describe a little bit more of that process, as I was not involved during that time. I do want to apologize. It was a mistake. It was not intended that we didn't come before this board. It was just a miscommunication. And so we're here tonight to have a conversation with you about it.
Thank you, Kathleen. Just for everybody's edification, if the pre-application conference goes well and it's approved by most of the folks here, that will not give you a permit,
That's correct.
right? You'll still have to come back for an application.
We would have to come back with a formal application,
Okay,
right?
very
We just wanted to have this discussion first.
All right, thank you. Steve?
I don't,
I think she wanted to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not done with your
Want to say something?
presentation.
Right, so I was just based on the requirements from Eversource, we just wanted to give a little bit of background on why
Oh,
the fence
all right.
was installed.
Hi, good evening or good afternoon. My name is Ronit Goldstein. I'm with Eversource Energy. I cover community relations for all of the towns on the Cape and Martha's Vineyard, obviously including the town of Chatham. I've been here before your select board. So just a little bit of background. The pad-mounted transformer, it's a big green box. There's different vintage you've seen around, typically either this town or other towns throughout the region that supply underground to overhead on Cross Street, and it's a pad-mounted transformer. They're actually step-down transformers, so they were installed. We proposed to acquire rights or to obtain rights, through a public process with your select board, and they create redundancy. So they create a redundant circuit and tie two circuits that weren't tied previously. And what that does is it creates reliability for the whole center of town and a significant amount of customers. That was the reason that it was proposed and installed. The proposal was back in 2020, I want to say, right before the pandemic. When we installed it, there were some concerns from the neighbors, and we did discuss, as Katie mentioned, with some of your staff, your town staff, and we were not aware, and like, as Katie noted, had Eversource known that a fence was not something that, or a fence required an additional permit, we would have pursued that. But that was not something that was articulated to us specifically. So my apologies on behalf of the utility. We thought it was, for the purpose of beautification. There were folks that didn't like the sight of the pad-mounted transformer. So that's a little bit of background just to give you what it does. It's already in service. I think we eliminated a pole, if you recall, to the, I don't know what direction it is, but the driveway that's beside Town Hall. There was a pole with infrastructure, and this pad mount facilitated the elimination of that pole and all the infrastructure that's on that pole. So that's a little bit of background. I can answer questions, but I'd
Okay,
let
thank you very much.
the commission proceed with their process.
Sorry to have cut you off.
Sure.
Steve?
I don't really have any questions, just, I guess, so it's documented and it's on record. What is the dimensions of the fence, or how high is it?
So
You
I
know?
do not know. It's sufficient to cover the height.
Okay.
That's why it was installed, so that it would completely, we were under the impression that nobody wanted to, or folks didn't want to see it. So I would imagine it's at least 6 feet tall.
Yeah. All right, you may want to just get that information
Sure,
for the next time.
absolutely.
Okay.
The dimensions of the fence, correct?
Yeah, the height of it is fine. And it looks like it's made out of vinyl, if you want to just specify that also.
So one other piece I should just mention that we had some suggestions that it would be in the vein of some of the other fencing that you have throughout town surrounding pumping stations. So we had to look at, we were under the impression that white was what we wanted, we needed something that would be a material that, and slats that would allow ventilation, because the pad-mounted transformer gets hot when it's operational. We needed doors because it has to be swung open so that the doors of the pad mount can open. So it couldn't be a fence that didn't have a gate. You had to access the transformer. So all of those put together, we needed to find a vendor that would be able to provide us with those, in those parameters, if that makes sense. But I can get the dimensions for sure.
And then you mentioned that the neighbors were concerned, I guess, about the look of the transformer. Are they okay now with the look of the fence, or can you get any feedback from them?
You don't know.
We did not hear any feedback, but yeah, go ahead, Katie.
I was going to say, we recently did hear some feedback that there was, that neighbors were not happy with the fence.
Okay.
So again, that was very recent, just as of this afternoon that we had heard that.
So one thing I should note, that in 2021, we did have a site visit to discuss what folks want, what's within the scope of what we can do. And there was discussion of fencing, there was discussion of some plantings. Plantings didn't materialize. The challenge with plantings is that we don't have staff that's gonna come and maintain those plantings. So if we do, I'm not saying that's not an option, I know we're not here to discuss other options tonight, but it would need to be something that's sustainable without regular maintenance.
Thank you. I'm going to take a brief break here and ask if there's anybody in the audience or online that would like to make a comment about this particular proposal. No? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's John Burke. I'm a real estate broker at William Ravis Real Estate. We're in the building that's maybe 10 feet from this fence, within at least 10 or 12 feet. 2 summers ago, when it was first being thought about, which this lady just represented to us, that the fence was going to be installed, and they had some comment. Tom Temple, who was the Department of Public Works department head at the time, was there, and some people from Eversource. And what they represented to the neighbors, and there were several of them there, including myself, that the fence was going to be of a lattice work style on 2 sides and have landscaping next to it on the 2 sides, and then be open on the parking lot sides to let the airflow go through. So the fencing facing the building, you could see our window right there on the back side of the fence. Facing that and facing the back neighbors in the old village area, on Kent Street area, we're going to be able to see the lattice work with the nice landscaping. The fence was going to be 6 feet high. And to answer your question, when the Bayside Electric put it in a couple months ago, it's 8 feet high. So I asked them, why do you put an 8-foot fence around a 5-foot transformer? And they said, that's because that's what Tom Temple told us to do. And he's no longer here, so we can't check with him. But it was represented to us by the town that it was going to be a lattice work 5 or 6 foot fence, because it had to be at least 5 feet to cover the top of the transformer. So probably a 6-foot fence, not an 8-foot fence. Lattice work, not plastic, 2-sided instead of 4-sided. And we've gotten a lot of complaints besides ourselves. We have to see it, and the building owner who's in the spa, Petite Day Spa next door, and all the people that are back on Kent Place just have the same complaint. It looks like a big storage pod, and people throw garbage in it all the time. And they're trying to figure out why it was allowed when it was never approved by anybody. It just appeared one day. So that's what the neighbors are telling us, because we're the nearest ones to it. So they come and they complain to us, and we're just relay it to you. So that's
All righty.
what I have to say.
Kathleen, would you like to respond to the gentleman's concerns?
Sure. I mean, again, as I mentioned in my opening statement, that if this is something that the commission is not in favor of, we're willing to, to remove the fence. And, we can talk with Eversource about alternatives. However, I don't know specifically what we would come back with, but that is something that we are willing to do if necessary.
I know they were also concerned at the time that it was going to, they didn't want to put it, the whole transformer thing further down in the back this way on the parking lot because it was going to lose a parking spot down there. So they put it here, and now they've lost 3 parking spots. And I know people have difficulty driving around it because when the cars are parked coming in from that side, it's very narrow when the cars are parked in that sort of unparalleled section there. When you're coming around it, you can't see through this fence. If the lattice work were there, or not there, as the case may be, you could still see that way. And I think it's presenting kind of a traffic hazard the way it is now, too.
Thank you. Darcy?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think the enclosure is really too large for what it holds. The transformer is nowhere that size. I'd like to see something smaller and more natural. I think the vinyl fencing is just, it really stands out. And John, if you're correct, the transformer's 5 feet high. I
That's what
did
the-
look in there and,
That's
yeah.
what the Bayside man was there when he was installing it, told me.
Yeah, I
And that's because it's shorter than I am, and I'm 6 feet
Yeah.
2. And then the fence, I asked him, how big's this fence? He said, it's 8 feet. I said, why are you putting an 8-foot fence
Yeah.
around a 5-foot transformer? He goes, that's what they told us to do.
Yeah, so I'd like to see something smaller and more natural looking.
Thank you.
Which the lattice work with the landscaping would do the trick, I think.
That's it.
Sam?
Well, this is sort of a classic case of municipal non-communication. And as a result, they could have saved quite a bit of money because we would have all gone for a residential fence scaled to what its job is actually needed to do. It's a little hard to understand why the fence straddles the curb. It seems to be misplaced. In other words, the object it was fencing out got placed first, and then somebody fenced it in after. And so what we see is the misplacement. And that's sort of upsetting. I think there's a lot of consideration for just a silly old generator, but it still takes thought and planning and some consideration for somebody, a neighbor who's got some rights, I think. So, and I concur with it. It looks, I mean, it has the attempt to look like a residential fence because it's broken up, but it looks more like a shipping container, and I think that's a bit unfortunate. It's something that people put in their backyards, not their front yard. So those would be my comments. We'd like to work with you on it.
Yeah.
And try to get it so that it works for the town, because obviously that generator is going to perform a lot of good for the shopkeepers.
Yeah, just for perspective, if I may,
Certainly.
we install these types of transformers throughout the region. There's one at Wellfleet Town Hall. There'll be one at Sandwich Library. Perhaps different vintage, same idea. Circuits that are poor performing, that need a boost, that need some redundancy. So and we haven't installed or had requests for fencing around them. So I'm just saying that not to say that we don't do it or won't do it, because we did, but it's not a standard, not typical. So we don't do these every day. So the material is probably material that was compatible with what it needs to do. I can't speak to whether something more natural or lattice. I'd have to ask the engineers. The distances may be a distance that something has to be around, an enclosure has to be around it. I'll ask as well. There's specific specs with regard to the operation and the ventilation. I'm just saying that not to any particular point, but just to provide some context, that's all. But we are.
Does it have to resist impact?
So as far as resisting impact, there's bollards that were a requirement.
So you could put bollards to protect the generator and then put just a normal residential fence. Somebody runs into that and destroys it. You call up a fence people, they're there the next day. You know, so,
So, yeah, I can't speak to why this particular material,
sure.
and if someone runs into the fence, they're gonna run into the transformer, so we're gonna have bigger problems than that. So the bollards are really what stopped that, and that was a
Yeah,
requirement. In
sure.
terms of where it was sited, we walked around, again, there's limitations that connect to the system. We walked around where would be the least impact as far as the construction, and then what, the gentleman is correct, the town didn't want to lose parking spots. So there were other considerations that pointed Eversource or directed Eversource as to where we were going to put that. Behind the building is wetlands. I think the owner of the building had mentioned, oh, it's a shame you didn't ask. I would have allowed potentially, it was not an area that that environmentally was even feasible. So I'm just providing some context since we're kind of
So
coming, the cart's
usually-
coming.
Usually, you.
Before the horse.
When you
Vice
get,
versa.
I'm an architect, so I get involved in utilities every now and then. And engineers say things that make their lives easier, is absolutely adamant. But you gently push a little bit, and you find that things don't have to be exactly. And there's a little more room, it's a little more difficult to put in place, but the end result is much better. The
Yeah.
plumbers would like to put a pipe right down the middle of the room, this big, 5 feet, that's about working height for them. And why not do it? That's what they do. And then you come and object, and eventually they move it to wherever you tell them to put it.
Yeah, luckily, the lead engineer on this is someone that is an out-of-the-box thinker. It's in terms of, I would agree with you in general about engineers sometimes, no offense to any engineers in the room, but he's out of the box. I do think this was a little bit of a miscommunication, and having a global pandemic when we did the site visit didn't help with the seamless communication. So I would agree that we have some work to do, and we would defer to discussions with Katie, and then I think a future potential discussion with this commission again to provide something that's a little more palatable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doug?
All right, so who actually owns the fence? Is that Eversource? Is it Eversource's fence or is it the town of Chatham's fence?
So we installed it, I assume we own it,
Okay.
maintain it, so if something
All right.
happens to it, we
So a
fix it.
fence, is a fence required to go around this?
No,
So
we don't
what-
install them as a standard. This was
Okay.
done as a gesture and commitment
Okay.
to the town.
All right, well, it might look better without a fence, but if we need to put a fence to appease the surrounding neighbors, I agree with Darcy with a shorter, natural-looking fence would be best. And I'd like to see some landscaping around it, even if they are, low water, low maintenance, just to sort of soften it a little bit as well. But if we didn't need one, that might even be better, but I'm not sure what the situation is there, so. I know it's tough to try to keep everyone happy, but I agree with Darcy. I think a more natural would be a better aesthetic there.
Okay. Thank you.
Bob?
One question, one of the photos, is this four-sided or two-sided fence?
It is four-sided,
So it is four-sided?
yes.
Okay, so I would agree with the comments. I think something more aesthetic to that area would be in order.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, do you have it?
No, that's it.
No, I pretty much agree with everybody. I don't think that a solid fence, something that can be seen through, like you said, lattice work, I think the gentleman suggested, would probably work, and I don't think it has to be 8 feet tall. As far as the material is concerned, it seems like everybody's going with vinyl these days, but even that is not, still requires maintenance. But we have enough dumpster enclosures around that aren't that big. It doesn't seem to me that has to be that big, that tall anyways. So I would, yes, Darcy?
No, you finish, and then I just want to say something.
Go ahead, yeah.
I was just going to say, when you come back to us for the formal application, maybe you could present us with 2 different scenarios, one without any enclosure at all, and see what it looks like, see if that's feasible for you, maybe with a couple of bollards or something, and then whatever you come up with for fencing, if need be.
Could I just ask a question for clarification
I
purposes?
have
If we take the fence down, do we need to, if we're not installing another structure, do we need to come back, is the question?
I believe you do not.
I don't think so.
So
Right,
if,
Dan?
What's that?
They wouldn't have to come back if they take the fence down.
if we're not installing another structure,
I don't believe so.
if it were, you know, if,
No.
but only if it were a structure, but anything we do regarding, you know, either leaving it or landscaping, that would not require
I'm
approval
going
by
to
the
go out on a
commission.
limb and say, I don't think that that would well, it might qualify as a structure to the building commissioner. I don't think so, but I guess it's an assembly, so therefore it's a structure.
It's equipment, so I don't know that it would be
Yeah.
a structure. You mean the pad mount itself?
What's that?
The pad mounted transformer
Yes,
itself, it's
yeah.
equipment.
Right.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Sam?
Structure discussion, I wasn't sure.
I'm a little, would like to, I assume that there's a bit of a site plan for this, and an elevation or anything? Well,
No,
we'd
it
like
was,
to know how it's,
it's on a slab, it's on a concrete slab. Like I said, there's a standard, I can get the specs for how it's installed, but there wasn't a site plan that was
well,
proposed to my
how it
knowledge.
relates to the parking area and the pavement and,
You know what, it's
and that would tell us
possible. Yep.
how big things are, because you'd have some dimensions on it. It's just the way I work.
So I take it back, when it was permitted, when the rights were obtained, there would have been a plan or a rendering or a sketch that engineering would
Yes, a
have.
sketch would be fine,
Exactly, great.
something.
So a sketch of the existing
'Cause
with the
I
bollards and
make
everything
up-
that's there.
I make up terrible things in my head, so you want to stop that by showing how nice you can do it.
We will take care of that. So there would have been, similar to when a pole is installed, there's a sketch that is submitted with that petition.
So basically, the workmen decide where it goes, because they're the ones that are there working on it.
No, so it was marked out, again, there was a site visit, and it was walked with your DPW, your town leaders, your town administrator was there, a member of your board was there at this site visit, and we discussed where it was gonna be. We discussed the limitations, again, of having the doors swing, where the bollards would be in relation to that. It was measured, an engineer was out there, a site engineer, so it was not, I just wanna be clear that it wasn't just put it somewhere and we put it wherever we wanted. It was very structured.
I think at this point, essentially, we're just looking at the cover,
Right.
trying to figure out what would be most aesthetically pleasing,
Okay, good.
all right? Doug, do you have any last comments?
I don't.
Okay. Bob?
No, I think what we all talked
Kathleen, would you
about.
like anything more from us? I think,
No, but I think that's fine. So if we decide to move forward with just removing the fence and, you know, no structure there, then I just wanted to confirm that we don't need to necessarily come back for approval
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
HBDC. Otherwise, if we come back with a structure, we would come back for approval.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll take back all of I took notes, I'd like to bring it back to the engineer, see what's feasible. I don't want to make any decisions, because then we'd be repeating what I was always already done. I'll consult with Katie and we'll take it from there and see where we stand.
The unfortunate part about talking to neighbors and other people about a project like this is they're imagining it, and now that it's up, it's real. So you get a whole different, you get a whole different feel for it, so.
So just to be clear, the permitting and then the installation of the pad-mounted transformer itself was done through a public process, taking input. Then once it was installed is when folks came forward and
Well,
said.
that's what I'm saying, then they could
Yeah.
see it.
Correct.
Real, yeah.
Right.
Then it became real, yeah.
Understood.
As Sam will tell you, you have that problem all the time with people trying to design something themselves, or the interior laid out of the house, it looks good on paper, or when you're talking to them, and then when they see it start going up, all of a sudden it's, oh, that's what it's gonna be, so it's a little different. So yes, take down the fence, and the transformer stays where it is, and then come back with some alternatives, and we'll have a look at it,
Great.
all right?
Thank you very much.
John, may I have
So
something
we don't
else
need to
say?
vote.
John,
No, it's a-
no, we can't vote.
No.
John has something to say.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry, it made me a little bit nervous when you're saying, take down the fence and just go back to where the big green monster was, because the reason the fence came up in the first place and was represented to the abutters and the neighbors and everybody else was because when the green transformer went up, they all complained about it. So Eversource and Tom Temple from DPW represented, well, what if we put this lattice work fence in the landscaping? Wouldn't that be much nicer? And everybody agreed that would be nicer than the green transformer. So I think if you probably went back now and asked them, would they rather have this fence or the green transformer? They'd probably say they'd rather have this fence, as ugly as it is and as out of space as it is. They think they'd rather have that than just nothing, because that's the reason the whole fence issue came up in the first place.
Well, they'll have their opportunity because the town is coming back with some new proposals.
But I think
And you might want to talk to them about,
Dan, I have a question.
Yeah.
too.
Okay. Okay,
if you
thank
work
you.
together as much as you can.
Dan, is an 8-foot fence allowed in that location?
What's that?
Is an 8-foot fence allowed in that location?
I don't think an 8-foot fence is allowed in Chatham.
I
I
didn't
think
think so.
6 feet is
Yeah, I
the,
thought 6 feet is a limit.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Alrighty, Sam.
Okay.
Sign.
First of our sign applications, 23-30, ta-da, care of Melinda Hedrick. Application to install a ground sign located at 515A Main Street.
Do we have the applicant or a representative here, or are we gone virtual?
She's on,
She's gone virtual. Hello. Do we have any audio for her?
Melinda, you just have to unmute yourself.
On your computer.
So there should be a microphone at the top of your screen or the bottom of your screen. If you hover over it, click it, and then the line will go away and it will unmute you.
mine is at the bottom left, so it might
Got
be.
to find the little microphone. So glad we're going to get rid of all this.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Very good. There we go. There we
Sorry,
go.
everybody.
All right, so what are you up to?
Just changing out a little sign in the front of my shop in Chatham.
All
So
right.
we currently have a temporary sign there, and I believe you all have come by and looked at it. So we're just making it a permanent sign, making it wood, and will it be carved?
All
So
right.
I relinquished my spot at 402 Main Street down the street and just blended the two shops under one roof. So this sign was previously approved by the board when I moved into 402 Main Street.
Okay. Steve, do you want to lead us off?
Sure, I have no questions, especially if it was, previously approved. I don't want to undo that, and I don't see any problems with the sign. Looks fine.
All right, Sam has something to say.
Yes, I meant to say that the central permitting coordinator has determined that the sign complies with the sign code.
Thank you, Sam. Darcy?
It's still a great sign like it was before. Are you going to paint that post at all or wash it out?
That is not the scope of my world. That would be Ginny Nickerson, who owns the building, but I will bring it to
Okay.
her attention.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sam?
Well, I wish well, I don't wish the other sign was the same color. Because I think then it would just take away from your sign, which I think is very inventive and original. And I think there ought to be a place for that in our downtown. So,
Thank you. Doug?
I think it's a great looking sign. I don't have any questions.
Bob?
Melinda, I think it looks good. No further questions.
Okay, Steve?
Thank you.
I'm good.
I have no questions.
All right, so Doug Grant will make a motion under signs, application 23-030, ta-da, care of Melinda Hendrick. Application to install a ground sign located at 515A Main Street as presented.
Thank you, Doug. Is there a second?
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Ready to vote? Steve?
I would vote to approve.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin votes to approve.
Sam?
Sam Starbird votes to approve.
Doug?
Doug Grant votes to approve.
Bob?
Bob Burns votes to approve.
And Silva vote to approve. Very good, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's good hearing from you.
Yes, nice to see you all.
All right, Sam?
Yes, we're on 23-31, Playa Kitchen and Tiki Bar, care of Tom Deegan. Application to install a ladder board to the existing ground sign located at 483 Main Street. And the Central Permitting Coordinator has determined that the proposed sign complies with the sign bylaw.
Good afternoon, folks.
Hello, everyone.
Good
I'm Tom
afternoon, Belinda Deegan.
Oh, welcome again.
Deegan. Yeah, thanks for having us.
You don't look like you're quite dressed for a tiki bar.
Yeah, it's a little too nasty
early.
outside today for tiki attire.
So we have the materials in the application.
Yep.
So we're here to present our proposal for a carved ladder sign and also a proposed painted hanging sign.
All righty.
Second one.
So we'll do this one first, which is the ladder board. Steve?
I know sometimes the printers don't do colors justice very well, so how, I guess we were just handed these. The picture that you have there is, how accurate is that to the actual colors that it's gonna be? It seems like the samples that we got, the blue is a little bit darker and the pink is a little bit brighter.
It's going to be pretty close to those samples. Unfortunately, those chips are both hard to come by and pretty expensive. So even the branding firm that we use only gets a couple of samples of them that they were able to give to us. But we were able to get the picture to be, pretty close to what those colors will be.
Yeah. I guess the only concern that I had or question is that the rest of the signs on the ladder are primarily black and white. I know there is one pink sign. I guess as long as your sign is fairly dark blue, it probably would blend in okay, but I might want to see a black sign background to sort of match the others, but it's okay. I'm not going to say no, but
Yeah.
I might want to see it sort of be a little match the other signs a little bit closer, but that's okay.
Okay. Darcy?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Steve. If it could be black, great. If not, I'd be okay with it.
Sam?
I like the sign. I think the pink color and the blue color are perfectly matched.
That's what it is.
Well, I know.
No, I'm
that
just showing it to you.
I know we can't get
Okay.
Lily Pulitzer to change her sign, but I'm perfectly happy with this. And I think the yellow, which usually steals the show, is minimized, and a playa and the blue background seem to be they've got the same amount of purple in them, and so I'm good.
Doug?
I'm fine with the sign the way it is. It looks good.
Bob?
Oh, I like the sign, the way it is. Thank you.
Well, I think it's appropriate to the district, and that's our only concern, so.
All right. So Doug Grant will make a motion under signs, application 23-031, a Playa Kitchen and Tiki Bar, care of Thomas Deegan. Application to install a ladder board to the existing ground sign located at 483 Main Street as presented.
Darcy
you, Doug.
Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Now voting on 23-031. Steve?
I would vote to approve
Darcy?
presented.
Darcy Seguin votes to approve.
Sam?
Sam Strybert votes to approve.
Doug?
Doug Grattan votes to approve.
Bob?
Bob Burns votes to approve.
And Dan Silva votes to approve as well. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have sign application number 23-32, Aplaya Kitchen and Tiki Bar, care of Thomas Deegan. Application to install a hanging sign located at 483 Main Street. And the central permit coordinator has determined that the proposed sign complies with the sign bylaw.
All righty, if you folks will introduce yourself again.
Sure.
I know it's redundant, but it has to be.
Belinda Deegan.
And Thomas Deegan.
Welcome again.
Thank you again. So this sign kind of slightly further behind the ladder sign and to the left, there's a, walkway to get to the area where the restaurant will be. There's another hanging sign area. So this is the proposed sign for that area. And Linda, I don't know if you want to give any background on this sign or?
Yeah, just to offer some context with the colors, we were very intentional and thoughtful with the colors that we chose. The colors are actually taken from vintage Philippine tourist pamphlets and tourist posters. And also the flower on the sign is the Filipino national flower, which is sampaguita, which is an Asian jasmine. And so we wanted to lean into that tropical theme, Polynesian theme, which is aligned with our concept.
Yeah, and just for background, in case you're not familiar, Aplaya in Tagalog.
Oh, sure, yes, Aplaya means beach in our national language, so we thought it's appropriate considering where we are, the location, and it's easy to pronounce.
Yeah, and again, it's the concept itself. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but on Wednesday nights we've been doing Filipino dinner pop-ups, and so this is a Filipino-inspired, restaurant and tiki bar. So that's kind of the background if you weren't aware of what this is going to be.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Steve?
I have no questions, and now that you've sort of explained the rationale behind the colors, I think it's perfectly fine. There's a sign next to it, I guess, in one of these, in the application says that it's a existing menu board. Are you planning on keeping that second sign? Are you gonna
Yeah, we would
utilize it?
post the menu there.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
yep.
I think it's fine. I think it's,
And we
Darcy?
will paint that. I
Oops, I'm
do
sorry.
know the post needs painting, so, yeah,
Okay.
we'll definitely do that.
I think it's fine. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam?
I think it's great. I'm a little concerned about the little flower being kind of off, it's off theme, but that's the way it is. I think it's going to be a strong sign. Were you did you run last year, the blue coral?
No.
No, okay, so
Nope.
you've taken over. Okay.
Doug?
Yeah, is there any lighting on this sign?
No, there isn't.
Okay, you're not going to add any.
No,
Okay.
no.
Sam.
Bob?
I'm sorry, yeah, so no, I have no other questions. I think it's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I have no further questions. I think it looks great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Darcy, do you have any further
No,
questions? or
no.
comments? Okay, all righty.
Okay, so Doug Grant will make a motion under application 23-032, a Playa Kitchen and Tiki Bar care Thomas Deegan, application to install a hanging sign located at 483 Main Street as presented.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Ready to vote on 23-032. Steve?
I would vote to approve as presented.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin votes to approve.
Sam?
Sam Strybert votes to approve.
Doug?
Doug Grattan votes to approve.
Bob Burns votes to approve.
Bob Burns. And Dan Silva votes to approve as well. Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Yes, very nice signs.
Thank you.
Okay, Sam.
So, application 23-33, Chatham Candle Company, care of William Treese. application to install window sign located at 400 Main Street, Unit 1. And the sign coordinator has determined that the proposed sign complies with the sign bylaw.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Will you introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm William Trees. You pronounced it perfectly. That is the current space that I'm entering, which is where Colors of Chatham previously was, and he's moving next door. The sign, currently there is no sign above the window for Colors of Chatham, but there was with previous stores that were in that location. So the sign that I proposed is where previous signs had been. It's going to be a dark navy blue, which will be the exact, well, it is the exact color of the shutters to the best I could match. They didn't have a sample that I could take from, but I put the color next to it. It's exactly the same. And also there are signs around the side of the building, the parking signs. It's the exact same blue as that. And it'll have simple white lettering.
We'll forgive you. The water in the sky is never the same blue day to day, so.
It's very close.
Okay, Steve?
I have no questions. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Darcy?
No questions?
Sam?
On that display is Chatham Candle Company, and then there's a dark gray, blackish. Why is that?
So
Where is that?
that's just meant to be the window. So the
To
the one
okay.
to the
So you
right
just-
is for the window decal.
I see.
It's just going to be the simple white lettering, which is what's currently there now, and it's going to be within the same size, if not a little smaller than what's
Well,
currently there.
It's good that you have something, letters of a certain size that are visible, because the letters in the blue sign.
It did not come out as well.
So
But they will be
other than
visible
that,
and clear.
I have no concerns, and I'm glad you have such consideration.
Thank you.
All righty. Doug?
And I think they're both great signs. I have no questions.
Bob?
Looks good, no further questions?
Thank you.
We started with you, Steve, right? I'm good. Oh, you're good? All right. Didn't start with you. Well, something else. All right, I'm good as well.
So Doug Rat will make a motion under signs, application 23-033, Chatham Candle Company, care of William Trees, application to install a window signage located at 400 Main Street, Unit 1.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, a motion is made and seconded. Ready to vote, 23-033. Steve?
I would vote to approve.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin votes to approve.
Sam?
Sam Strybert votes to approve.
Doug?
Doug Ratton votes to approve.
Bob Burns votes to approve.
And Dan Silva votes to approve. Thank you. All right.
So this is application number 2334, Chatham Candle Company, care of William Trees. Application to install a wall sign located at 400 Main Street, Unit 1.
This building we're quite familiar with. Would you introduce yourself again? And
I'm William Trees, and once again, I'm taking over the space at 400 Main Street, Unit 1. And yes, so this was for I believe we're talking about the sign above the window now on the
Yes,
wall.
we are.
Yes. So that blue that I discussed previously is the blue that I matched with the shutters and the surrounding signs.
Okay, very good. And the font is all the same, right?
The font is the same. The layout will be slightly different because it's harder to see on that. It'll say Chatham, Candle, and then Company, one after the other, rather than Chatham, Candle Company on the window. But it's the
Understood.
same font and same white lettering.
Steve?
I have no questions.
Darcy?
I think we're doing the window.
No, this is the wall.
I thought we voted on the window.
Okay. Yeah, I have no questions.
Sam?
This is
I have no questions.
Doug?
I have no questions.
Bob?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. Doug?
All right, so Doug Rat will make a motion under application signs 23-034, Chatham Candle Company, care of William Trees, application to install a wall sign located at 400 Main Street, Unit 1, as presented.
All right.
Darcy Sequin will
Motion's
second the
been-
motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Ready to vote? Steve?
I would vote to approve.
Darcy?
Darcy Sequin votes to approve.
Sam?
Sam Strybert votes to approve.
Doug?
Doug Ratton votes to approve.
Bob?
Burns votes to approve.
Dan Silva votes to approve.
Thank you.
All right, you bet, thank you.
So the next application is a site improvement, 23-35, Car Holdings LLC, care of Palima Savory de Silva. Application to remove propane tanks, add a generator, and fencing located at 1 Isaac Harding Lane.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Folks.
I'm Stephen Sullivan, here with Julie Kavanaugh from Polhema Savory and De Silva. We're representing the homeowner at 1 Isaac Hardy. We are interested in the removal of an existing propane tank and for the approval of the installation of a standby generator. As you can see, the first view is from the left photo is from Main Street down the left side of the property. Beyond in the back side of the property is the location of where we'd like to locate the generator. In the right photo, there's a tree standing taller in the center of the skyline there. That's about the location of where the generator would be. So you really don't have a sight line of where the generator location would be in the backyard from the front view. If you go to the next photo, next page, this is a view from Isaac Hardy, from their side by their driveway. And as you drive up the road, you would see the next view, looking down towards the left, which would be just by the flagpole. This is a winter view, and you don't see, the growth on the plantings and whatnot. But during the summertime, the left photo, it's very screened. During the wintertime, it's still pretty well screened. In the backyard there, beyond the awnings, is about where the generator location would be. You see a white fence just to the right, topping off those bushes there on that right photo. The generator would be just in front of that, almost where the hand is at this point. If you go to the next image, we have a site plan. Well, that's actually, yeah, there you go. That's the yard during the summer. That's looking right at the location where the generator would be. So if you go to the site plan, we'll give you a reference point. You see a pickleball court to the right. It's just to the left top corner. And there would be a fence system around the perimeter and some screening bushes that would be added. Down that left sight line that you saw in the beginning, those are all, mature trees, bushes. So there's really no sight line from the left side of the property. And then the propane tank to be removed, that's on the right side closest to Isaac Hardy. It's actually not noted here, but that would be going away, and we'd be bringing in natural gas. We have an application in with National Grid at this point, and that's about where the meter would be located as well.
Very good. I think it's quite straightforward. Steve?
Yeah, no, I think it is pretty straightforward. And I think it does mention that it's a 5-foot-high fence around that, somewhere in the, I think on the site plan it says that. It also said something about having to transplant a tree or a shrub. Which one is that?
Some of the plantings just in front of the evergreens, if you look at the right photograph there of the pickleball fencing in the distance, it's some of those lower lying plantings that right at the edge of the grass line. It's not necessarily in growth right now.
You're going to try to repurpose those or replant
Right,
those?
on the front side.
In front of the fence?
Yeah, on the yard side. And that left top photo, that's looking in that direction, where the where the generator would be located. So there's a larger evergreen and there's some lighter, lower foliage. That's the foliage that would be moved out in front of the fence line. Once again, not visible from Isaac Hardy or Main Street.
Okay.
Darcy?
I have no questions.
Sam?
Well, I'm a little confused because is this application to prove that we have no jurisdiction?
No, it's just to let you know what our
Okay.
interest is.
No works. So what you've proposed to do here is perfect and covers all the things. So you don't have to prove that we have no jurisdiction.
Right.
Because we'd rather deal with the substance of the material rather than our jurisdiction. So, with that in mind, is a public view from the, I mean, the neighbor has a view of the back of this generator. Have you given any consideration for that? Through
There
that
is-
hole, through the,
There is a sight line from an angle that could potentially, be seen during when foliage is down.
because he probably will be hearing it when it cycles on every Saturday or whatever.
Right.
But that's okay. I mean, I think you should have a generator, and you should have all these things here. And you've taken care to screen it, so I have no other questions.
Doug?
I have no questions.
Bob?
Just one question. This is a big generator, bigger than the normal
This
ones.
stands 33 by 46 by 74.
74, so it's bigger than the standard ones that we see,
This is a whole house generator, 38 kilowatt. What you typically see is a 20 kW. They stand maybe
Right,
30 inches
right.
tall. This is a little bit taller.
oh, okay. All right, as long as it's screening and, I have no further questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
All done, okay. I think it's sufficiently screened.
Yeah.
Okay, Doug?
All right, Doug Grant will make a motion on the site improvements, application 23-035, Carl Holdings LLC, care of Polhemus Savory de Silva. Application to remove the propane tanks and add a generator and fencing located at 1 Isaac Hardy Lane as presented.
Darcy Siegel will second the motion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Ready to vote on 23-035. Steve?
I would vote to approve as presented.
Darcy?
Darcy Siegel votes to approve.
Sam?
Sam Stryber votes to approve.
Doug?
Doug Grant votes to approve.
Burns votes to approve.
And Dan Silva votes to approve as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
folks. Appreciate your time.
You're good to go. Take care. All right, Sam.
So we have an addition and alterations, 23-016, Ara and Philippa Vebersian, care of Cotuit Bay Design LLC. Application to install dormer, roof deck, and stairway on the structure located at 38 Bridge Street.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Steve Cook from Cotuit Bay Design and project designer representing the owners. So what Aaron and Philippa are looking to do was add a small dormer where there is an existing skylight. It's a bathroom, so it's tight underneath the rafters there. So they want to take out the skylight, put in an 8'2" shed dormer, which matches an existing shed dormer, which is on the east side of the property. And then they have an existing screen porch with a rubber roof on it. It's a flat roof. So we're just going to put a decking on it, add railings, and provide a spiral stair from the outside to get onto that roof deck. Because the roof deck is higher than the second floor, and there's only windows on the rear elevation. As you can see, there's no room to put a door out there, so that's the reason for the spiral stairs.
Alrighty.
So, pretty straightforward. Spiral stairs would be aluminum for the high salt content in that area. And windows match what's there right now. I think there's Pella windows in the house, so they're double hungs and awnings. So we're just going to put in 3 little awning windows in the dormer.
Alrighty.
And the stainless steel cable railings.
And post
Yes. Yeah.
and rail. Rail, post, and cables are all stainless?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah, I don't really have any questions. I kind of understand what you're doing, at the dormer to give a little headroom, I guess, in the bathroom. That kind of makes sense. When I first read this and it said a roof deck, I I had visions of some kind of a widow's walk or something on top of the roof, and I was thinking, oh, that's not gonna work, but then I read a little further and saw that it was on top of a screen porch, so, you know, that's probably a good idea. I was gonna ask you about the windows in the back there, if that center one is a door, because that would be really nice if you could open that up and get out to the deck from that. I think it's a bedroom in the back there, but it's too bad. It's unfortunate that can't be a door, because I think it would be nice.
Yeah, that was our original intent, and we had discussions with the building commissioner, and he wouldn't allow it. He said the code doesn't allow it to have a door where you have to step up. It's like 16 inches up off the floor to climb up, and it doesn't provide 6'8" of headroom, so
That's too
that got
bad.
nixed. So that's why we went to the spiral stair.
Other than that, I think it's a nice project. It'd be nice to sit out there at night.
Yeah, nice view of the harbor.
Darcy?
I agree with Steve. Excuse me, Dan has already asked my question, so we're set.
All right, Sam?
Well, I couldn't agree more. And I don't know what you'd have to do to apply for the code or whatever, but it's not an egress, so, you know, somebody stepping up 16 inches, 2 8-inch risers inside, I mean, would do it, I'm sure, because if it's a big deal to get your cup of coffee, go outside, go all the way upstairs,
Yeah.
don't build this.
Right. The clients are fine with the spiral stair, you know, they're.
No, you could
Yeah.
keep the spiral
Right,
stair.
yeah.
You know, getting off is a good thing. That gives you a means of egress, actually.
Yeah.
But you should make it easy to get there. Climbing a ladder. So anyway, that's
Okay,
other
great,
than
thank you.
that, I've got no problems with it. I'd like to have you draw a real spiral stair instead of this configuration of lines that you have in the drawings.
Yeah, I was under a real strict timeline to get into this hearing, so I apologize for that.
I've
So,
heard it. Okay,
Doug?
very good.
I have no questions. Looks great. It'd be a nice addition to the property.
Bob?
Thanks.
No questions, looks very good, thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
I have a couple of questions. Yeah, those spiral stairs really worked. I've had to use them several times in your situation. I don't know how long a run that set of stairs would have been, but something tells me it would have been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm expecting somewhere it's gonna be 16 risers, somewhere in that range,
Right,
height-wise.
but the run too, that you'd have to go, what?
Oh,
normal stairs
for
would
a
be-
standard set of stairs?
No, for that set. For that set of stairs, you'd have to, I think would have it require a long run, but anyways, that's
Yeah.
all right.
Okay.
I like that. Had you considered the black stairs? That one is aluminum. Have you considered black? The reason I ask is, I don't know who the supplier is, that one, but Iron House has black stairs, powder coated with a brass railing on it. My only concern is, the additions to this house, the spiral stairs, the aluminum, and the upper deck with the stainless steel post, stainless steel wires. This house generally has a beautiful colonial look to it, and I think this is extremely contemporary.
We can change the.
I mean, you got a nice
the
brick
post for
fireplace.
For the stainless steel, we can change the post out to, 4x4 posts with PVC casing and tie it in that way. So we don't need the aluminum posts. So I can get that so it matches all the trim on the house. And I can change the color to white to match all the trim versus black or silver. If that works for the board.
I think that would be, yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, because it's all white trim,
Yeah.
it is the
I mean, because
traditional
it's a
look.
beautiful,
yeah.
it's really the house itself, the general outlines, the configuration of that house is really nice.
Yeah, as you can see, the
Sarah, do
existing
you have
deck
the other-
has a
the other one?
white,
There's another view that's even better. I mean,
Yeah.
really, like the one with the stairs coming out the front with a garage door on it. One more. Yeah, I mean, that really is just colonial. That's Chatham all the way, and I just thought that those additions were kind of beating that down a little bit, so.
sure, yeah,
Yeah, if you could do that, that would be wonderful.
Sure.
At least it would definitely fit in better with this, what we're looking at there. And you would be willing to go along with that? You want to keep I don't care about your wire railings. I know they're very popular these days, but people are concerned about being able to see the water over the railing, but, you know, they don't take the tide into consideration, so when it's high, you can see the water, when it's low, you can't, but, you know.
Right.
But anyways,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah, I can make those changes.
Okay, Doug, condition it?
All right, so I'm gonna condition it with, are we doing the railings in the encased PVC or leaving them in the stainless steel posts?
No, he was gonna use the standard, fully constructed covers, right?
Yes, it'll be a 4x4 post with
Yeah,
PVC casing.
All right, so Doug Grant will make a motion under additions/alterations, application 23-016, Aaron Philippa Syrian, and I apologize for that, care of Katuitt Bay Designs LLC, application to install a dormer and roof deck and stairway on the structure located at 38 Bridge Street with conditions of a white spiral staircase and white encased railings on the deck,
Actually, it's a post.
posts.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made, seconded. Ready to vote? Steve?
I would vote to approve as amended.
Okay, Darcy?
Darcy votes to approve.
Sam?
Sam Stryber votes to approve as amended.
Doug?
Doug Grant votes to approve as amended.
Bob Burns votes to approve as amended.
And Dan Silva vote to approve as amended. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You as well.
Administrative approval / exemption, 23-36, Eric Payon, care of Richard Cambria, ratification of certificate of exemption to install a temporary wall, columns, and a portico entrance to the front exterior wall located at 309 Orleans Road. Seems like a lot.
It's temporary. It's a movie shoot.
This one was for just a temporary structure.
Nantucket Police.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a stage set, so it's just being set up against the wall and will be down by June 30th, I
I
believe.
think so, something like that.
Sarah, how long is temporary?
180 days under the code.
Oh, same as the sign? Okay, good, fine. All righty. Steve?
It'll be down long before then.
Thank you very much. Steve?
It's fine with me, I would approve it.
Okay, Darcy?
I have no problem.
Sam?
no questions.
Doug?
No questions.
Bob?
No questions.
And Dan Silva has no further questions.
So Doug Grant will make a motion to administrative approval / exemption 23-036, Eric Paoni, care of Richard Cambria, ratification of a certificate of exemption to install a temporary wall, columns, and portico entrance to the front of exterior wall located at 309 Orleans Road as presented.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Ready to vote? Steve?
I would vote to approve.
All right, Darcy?
Darcy Sequin votes to approve.
Sam?
Sam Stryber votes to approve.
Doug?
Doug Grant votes to approve.
Bob Burns votes to approve.
All right, Dan Silva votes to approve. Very good, excellent, folks.
You're
Where
up.
does that leave us?
Doug Grant will make a motion to adjourn.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Motion is made and seconded. Steve?
I vote to adjourn.
Darcy?
I vote to adjourn.
Sam?
I vote to adjourn.
Doug Grant votes to adjourn.
Bob Burns votes to adjourn.
And Dan Silva votes to adjourn. Thank you so much, everybody.
Some hesitation on your part.